Stop. I guarantee this is going to come up in some form in your GCSE exams. It's all about the factors that affect enzyme action, and this is so fundamental to truly understanding biology. We're going to talk about 3 different factors, so let's get into it. The first one is our substrate concentration. Now, when we're talking about our factors that affect the rate of an enzyme, we need to know how we calculate that rate. Let me know in the comments the calculation for the rate of an enzyme. The rate is essentially how fast the enzyme is breaking down that substrate and producing the product. Now, we can see here that as the substrate concentration increases along that x-axis, the rate of reaction is also increasing as well. And that's because there are more substrate particles, which means the chances of a collision between the substrate particle and an enzyme is going to be higher. And so the rate of reaction is increasing. But eventually we can see that the rate is plateauing here. And that's because even though if we keep putting more substrate in, well, there aren't any more enzymes. There's a limited number of enzymes. And if there's so many substrates but no more enzymes, well, there's no enzymes available to break down the substrate any faster. So we reach a plateau. Our next factor is temperature. And this is one that we always want to be keeping in the back of our mind. If we ever see a question relating to temperature, we need to be thinking that's going to be affecting enzymes. So how does the temperature affect enzymes? Well, initially, we can see that as the temperature increases, there is an increase in the rate of reaction. And that is because the particles are going to have more kinetic energy. They're going to be moving faster, which means there's more chance of a collision happening between the substrate and the enzyme, and then the enzyme will break down that substrate. But we can see that at a certain point, we call the optimum. This is when the rate of reaction, or the rate of the enzyme, is at its maximum. The temperature then starts to decrease. Well, why is the temperature then decreasing? It's because the protein has got too hot. The enzymes are made of protein, and the enzyme starts to denature. Now, it's really important that we use this word denature in our exams. You don't want to be saying that the enzyme has been killed or that the enzyme has died. Enzymes aren't living things. We say that it has denatured, and that means that the shape of the active site has changed. And if the shape of the active site has changed, that means that it is no longer complementary to the substrate, and so won't be able to bind to the substrate and therefore break it down. And so the rate decreases down to 0. Our last factor that affects the rate of an enzyme-controlled reaction is our pH.